Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you to everyone for being here. And we are happy to have a crowd and to see faces without masks. It's an awesome time. So first of all, I want to welcome our council members. We have in the audience, there she is, Councilmember Liz Sheehan, Councilmember Hannah LeGree, Councilmember Jennifer Reynolds, Councilmember James Brown. Are there any other council members I've missed? Now, we're going to recognize lots of people here because this is a big day. We have some special guests, and I'll tell you a little bit about them in a minute. Sierra Spalding, Jackie Spalding, Jada Spalding. Chief Lawrence Weathers is with us, Chief Jason Wells, Sheriff Kathy Witt, Judge Melissa Moore Murphy, you're out there someplace, there you are. Interim U.S. Attorney Carlton Shire, there you are. Commonwealth Attorney Luanna Redcorn. And I hope I'm not going to miss anybody who needs recognized. This is always dangerous, right? We have Pastor Richard Gaines with us. We have David Cozart. We have Marcus Patrick. We have Ashley Smith. And I am very proud to have right beside me and to announce that Devine Carama is joining my administration and will be the new Director of One Lexington. And I think I have a few commissioners here. Commissioner Ken Armstrong, Public Safety. I believe Commissioner Chris Ford is here. Commissioner Susan Speckert, Law. Do I have any other commissioners here? All right. See how much of a crowd you draw? Devine's name is one that is very familiar to many in Lexington. A Lexington native, he has been living the mission of One Lexington for at least 15 years, long before we even started One Lexington. Devine's career is hard to contain on a resume, but his focus is clear, and that is young people. That's right. Through a variety of programs and initiatives, he reaches out to young people and helps them build successful lives. His outreach takes many forms: through hip-hop, teaching, poetry, community engagement, volunteer work, community service, and more. He encourages collaboration and improvement within underserved areas of our community. As we all know, like many cities across the country, Lexington has seen increased violence this year, often involving our young people. This violence is often preventable. We have the community resources to help, and we need to intensify our efforts to reach out to these young people. Working with community partners, many of whom are in this room right now, and divisions throughout government, Devine is going to help us do that. But this is a call to action for all of us. We need to work together to help these young people. And I know we can do this. So Devine is joined today by his wife, Sierra, whom I introduced earlier, his mother, Jackie, and his daughter, Jada, who will be competing in the Miss Kentucky pageant this weekend. Yay. We know who we're rooting for, right? and his mother-in-law, Beata Pickens. And I want to just take a quick second to veer off. Many of us knew his father, Ben Spaulding, who worked for many, many years at Lexington and was a favorite of many of ours. He had a huge impact at Lexington. So Devine really needs no introduction to many of you, but if you don't know him, it's my pleasure to introduce Devine Carama to the podium.
So I'm gonna be honest, I thought this was gonna be a Facebook post and then we get to work. Because I am ready to work. First and foremost, thanks to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I cannot do anything and will not do anything without him and his guidance. Thanks to my family. Thank you, Mayor, for believing in me, trusting in me. The fact that the mayor was up here talking about hip hop, like, I think Biggie said it. Whoever thought hip hop would make it this far. But pretty much what sums up my life is just intersection, community. When I think about my mother, who was living in the housing projects on Thomas Street, she always tells us stories about my father living on the couch of his cousins when they met and they started dating. To see him go from the couch and my mother go from the housing projects to Fox Harbor Drive, not with high education in a formal sense, but just through hard work and community. I learned intersection and community at such a young age. I was a young father. I had 2 children out of wedlock at a very young age, just struggling, trying to make it all work, working 2 jobs, even doing some things my mom wouldn't be too proud about, trying to make ends meet. And that's when I met Judge Wise. That's when I met David Cozart. They invited me to some fatherhood picnic 14 years ago. I was like, I'll go out and get some free food. But it was in that relationship through First Baptist Bracktown, meeting David Cozart, meeting Judge Wise, meeting all of these people within our community that became resources for me and Jada. And again, intersection, community was changing my life. Even as a hip hop artist, traveling around, performing, being a motivational speaker. Last year, walking across the state of Kentucky to raise voter awareness. But the most memorable part of that journey was going to Eastern Kentucky and talking to people who do not look like me, may never vote like me, have different values than me. But in those conversations, we focused on the things that we had in common. We were able to have a conversation. We were able to learn from one another. And again, intersection, community is what has changed my life. I use this metaphor a lot when I'm speaking to young people, and I always tell them, I grew up, I'm an 80s baby. So I remember when Joe Montana beat my Bengals. I remember the John Elways and Warren Moons, and I love the Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady's, and there's a lot of great quarterbacks, but I've never seen a quarterback hike the ball to himself, block for himself, and then throw an 80-yard touchdown pass to himself. In order for a football team to be great, you have to have a lot of different players with different skill sets, different personalities, different backgrounds, and when they master and do what God created them to do, and then they come together, that's what makes a team great. And I don't know, I'm a little optimistic, but I just feel like that is the literal definition of One Lexington. That if we all do what we're supposed to do, whether it's the officers on the beat, whether it's the judges in the courtroom, whether it's my mother, whether it is me as a hip hop artist, right? If we all do what we do best and we come together, that's what'll make Lexington great. And one thing I can promise you, and I've told the mayor this face to face, is I may not get it all right. I don't know everything, but one thing I can promise you, I promise to be a bridge. a bridge between the resources that we have and the voiceless, and I promise to give it my all, and I promise to keep God first. I've been getting questions whether I'm gonna continue with my hip-hop career. Yes, all right. So with that said, I'm just blessed to be in this position. I'm blessed to be able to work with some of these wonderful individuals in a formal capacity. And I just look forward to making our community safer and keeping it safe. So thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Devine. I didn't tell him now we'll take questions. There might be some for you, right?
It's all good.
So now we'll take questions.
Devine, obviously you've been incredibly active in your community. What do you hope you can now do more in this role that you haven't already been doing?
Be a bridge. We got a lot of people on the front lines that are doing the work that the think tanks talk about. Right? There's a lot of people who may not have the capacity. They may not be as social media savvy as me, so a lot of people may not know them, but they are on the front lines doing a lot of the preventative work. I want to build their capacity. I want to make more connections. I think there's a lot of great people doing great work, but maybe they're struggling to get their 501c3. Maybe they could benefit from a connection with our government, and I want to make those connections. I spent the last decade frontline in the streets working with the community and these organizations, but how can we build their capacity so they can do what they do? Again, this isn't a one-person job, so I just feel like we got to bring everybody to the table.
What other questions do you have? Ooh, you make it off easy. Oh, there's one.
Devine, how did you start down this journey of wanting to become the director of One Lexington? Like, what was the event or your thought process behind thinking this is the way to increase my community outreach?
Well, it's funny because my wife will tell you before we even knew that the job was open, we had already been talking about it. And I don't want to get, over spiritual, but I mean, God runs our life. I pride myself in trying my best to stay silent, listen to Him, and follow what He's telling me. And I was telling her, I was reaching a point where I was doing a lot of different things, but I was like, there's got to be a cohesive way that I can pull these tools and connections and things together. I would love to find a job that could kind of encapsulate some of the stuff I'm doing. And I started getting some text messages like, hey, there's a job opening. And when I looked at it, and obviously the former director, Laura Hatfield, great friend of mine, we've known each other for a decade, and she kind of filled me in, and I said, I think God put me in this position at this time for that job. And so that's kind of what led me there. It's all God, all God.
Amen.
When you report on your first day, what do you think is going to be kind of the first priority you want to tackle?
He asked me this question.
Yes.
Should I tell him what?
Tell him what you said. It was funny.
I said, first you're going to get your badge. Then you're going to go to payroll. Then you're going to do your training.
That literally, great question, because she did kind of humble me and slow me down, but I'm just ready to hit the ground right away. Obviously, we got some community partners who put in some requests to help us out, so I want to go and vet and do that. Honestly, even though I'm kind of a proactive person, I'm ready to jump in. I want to take a few weeks and just listen. I want to listen to C.B. Akins, Pastor Akins. I want to listen to Pastor Gaines, David Cozart, P.G. Peoples. I want to sit and learn. I want to go and meet with some of these organizations on the ground. I want to meet with our great police officers. I just want to learn, soak up some knowledge, and kind of peep the lay of the land, take a deep breath, and then jump in and work. Because again, it's going to be collective, so I can't come in and say, I'm going to do this, that, and the third. I need to listen to my community, so that's what I plan on doing the first few weeks.
Other questions? All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.